There are good gays and there are bad gays. And bad gays are the ones that become HIV positive.
I've been called some nasty stuff before, freak, disease, AIDS.
I still deal with the stigma that comes across on the gay apps, where people write, "Are you clean or dirty?"
Maybe we should hand rubber gloves out around the office so that if anyone had to help me, they would be protected.
I didn't feel like I was a female at all. I just felt like I was just a broken body.
You would hear someone say, "Don't sleep with him." Is positive.
I had been in a long-term relationship for 10 years or so, and found myself just after 40 single again. So we went down to the Gold Coast to my first ever music concert. Of course, met this lovely fellow there that was gorgeous, and dancing and drinks, and went home with him. That's where I contracted my HIV.
I was having sex and the condom broke. And so I immediately went to my doctor. I had a HIV screening at the start, which came back negative. About 2 months after that, I went to the doctors to have another follow-up round of testing done, and I came back positive.
It was my 27th birthday party. I'd gone out with a group of friends and we'd consumed quite an amount of alcohol, and I can just remember waking up the next morning knowing that I had been assaulted, shall we say, / raped.
I went into the clinic for something else, and he was looking at the computer screen and asked me how my HIV from 3 months ago was going, or my HIV diagnosis, just assuming I'd been told. And I said to him I hadn't been by my regular doctor at the same clinic.
I can just remember, it was 5:52 p.m. on the 22nd of August 2001. I heard the words and then I was just looking at my GP, and it was like I didn't hear anything else. It was all in slow motion and my brain was just trying to process everything.
I felt really quite electrified and shocked, and my heart rate went up and my heart was really pounding very, very fast.
I just remember feeling an overwhelming sense of disappointment.
I actually felt quite shocked when I first got the diagnosis.
When Mum told me she was HIV positive, it was probably just everything, like how, why.
I was probably a bit scared. I was very scared at that time, It was harrowing times, I suppose.
It is difficult to tell someone, something that is going to upset them.
I was cooking dinner in the kitchen and he sort of came and hung around, and then he suddenly told me. And I think he would tell you or tell people that I didn't have much of a reaction. But I did inside. I just didn't want to add to his discomfort and stress by bursting into tears or something like that.
The person that I contracted HIV from never told me he was infected with HIV. I actually find it quite sad that somebody feels so ashamed or has such a stigma about it that it would interfere with them telling somebody the truth about it.
The stigma of not only contracting HIV, but also the stigma that went along with being raped, that's really confronting for a man. And I just hit a point where I didn't think that I could survive. I couldn't go on. I'm popping handfuls of pills in between, drinking, just getting absolutely blind. Basically, I'd overdosed. The emergency services came around, kicked the doors in and had to resuscitate me because I had, well, let's be brutal, I'd committed suicide.
I've been in a situation where I have, I suppose, judged someone for their status. And all those emotions came flooding back. That shame. And because I had those thoughts, and I know I had those thoughts, I just immediately assumed that other people were going to judge me. I didn't necessarily go out one night, looking to become HIV positive. I'm human. And I got it, and it happened to me.
The fact that HIV is transmitted through sex, I felt, I'm a dirty person for getting it.
When I was hooking up with some guys, they would wash their hands sort of excessively during and after sex, and they were obviously not entirely comfortable with that or didn't understand the risks or the lack of risk.
This guy, was very fit and healthy. I was still thinking somebody that had HIV would be skinny and scrawny. So lots of misconceptions around HIV come up, which I'm now a little bit more educated about.
I grew up in the 80s and I saw ads of the Grim Reaper, bowling people over with his AIDS ball. And that put the fear of God in me as a child.
I cut my finger, and it was the first time I'd, really cut myself since finding out that I was HIV positive. And Mum, just immediately, got a Band-Aid from the cabinet in the bathroom and applied it to my finger without even, worrying about it.
I don't think about getting infected in that way through my contact with my son. I just wanted to help him when he cut his finger, even though he's a big man.
That was really reassuring to me. If I want to sound dramatic about it, that there was nothing wrong with me or that I wasn't sort of a monster.
One of the main messages I would like to see sort of happen within the gay community is to have a more open dialogue between positive and negative men. And that will help break down that stigma, break down that discrimination. It takes guts to stand up and say, I'm HIV positive.
I have no hesitation in telling people that my son is HIV positive. If they don't like it, they can lump it. If somebody tells you, my sister's got cancer, people go, and very sorry about that. They don't react in the same way about HIV positive people.
Just imagine if you had a family member who was HIV positive, and just imagine everything that you'd have to go through as well as what they would.
When I walk down the street with him, I think, I'm walking with this good-looking bloke to have lunch together, well, what do you want?
HIV completely does change your life.
My life has taken a very dramatic turn.
It's not terrible. It hasn't been a disaster.
I would have told myself back then, it's okay, and it will be okay. With medication, it's a chronic illness now. It's not a death sentence.
A very important thing that HIV has taught me about myself is live in the present.
It's made me more appreciative of the things that I have in my life, the people that are in my life.
I'm in a good place. I'm in a happy place.
I like who I am, and I like where my future is going.
I'm so proud of my mom.